What is going on, guys? XpertFusion here, and today I'm doing my review for The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 14, which was titled, Still Gotta Mean Something. Gotta say, I love that title. That title is a big homage to Episode 3 when Rick was talking to the one savior behind the car, and he was like, I'm giving you my word that you can come out and trust me. And he's like, man's word still gotta mean something. And then Daryl popped him, and he was like, dude, I didn't think we should have killed him. And it's kind of, this episode is the same sort of a thing, but instead of, Rick actually keeping his word, because Rick did keep his word in episode 3, but it was Daryl who shot the guy, which was obviously, a lot of people thought that was, horrid. And I agree, that's not the right thing to do. You shouldn't be doing that, but it made sense for the character. It made sense for, the plots. And in this episode, kind of the same thing happened, but instead of Rick actually being okay with the word, Rick just said, fuck it, let's just kill him, because honestly, I feel like they already made one mistake. They already left the hilltop. They already ran off, and so he can't trust them. Rick does not give a fuck. Now, people are saying that kind of just goes against what, Carl's wishes were. It makes Carl's death worthless, all this type of shit, but I don't agree with that. Obviously, it hasn't hit him yet exactly. I mean, he hasn't even read the letter yet. He's going to read it in the next episode, but well, he learned at the end of the episode, obviously, and it's going to lead into the next episode, as we can see from a sneak peek. But, it hasn't hit him yet that what Carl meant is, a lot more meaningful than this. And honestly, Rick just wants it to be done. He doesn't want it to lose anyone else. He just wants them to be dead. And he's okay with keeping alive the ones like Alden, who actually, stayed behind, helped out, stuff like that. Like, personally, of course, if I was in Rick's situation, I wouldn't have killed them all. I would have just killed Jared. The other guys were cool. They were, actually wanting to go along with the hilltop. But you never know. You never know. They were keeping Rick alive because Rick said he can get them to the hilltop and get them okay and saved by the hilltop's doctor. But you never know. They could have, killed Rick down the line. They could have attacked him. I mean, look, I know Carl's wishes are different now, but remember what Carl said in Season 3? Remember what Carl said? You didn't kill him, and they came back and killed someone else because you leave him alive, and you can't do that. Now, the thing that this makes it all kind of confusing is Rick's going to keep Negan alive in 2 episodes. We know that. He's going to make a decision to keep Negan alive. To make the writing good and to make a good story arc, something has to happen within the next 2 episodes, something major to Rick that makes him want to change his mind, because he can't just go from wanting to kill all these prisoners relentlessly to wanting to keep the big bad of Negan alive, who, after what Negan did to Rick's group, was just horrid. Something has to happen, and I really don't know what it's going to be. I really have no idea, but something has to happen, something major. Maybe it's him reading Carl's note, possibly, but I don't know. It's just something has to happen between Rick and Negan, or between Rick and someone over the next 2 episodes. I mean, it already kind of did happen in this episode. I mean, Rick, I could tell Rick was not happy about what he did, especially when he shot that last guy who was, choking on his own blood on the floor, and he shot him. He was like shaking when he did it. He didn't want to do it. You could tell he didn't, but he felt like it was necessary because he does not want to bring these guys back to the hilltop and put his people at risk, put his daughter at risk. They just don't want to do that anymore. They don't want to take chances, and I don't blame Rick for that, but it was kind of brutal the way they did it. Definitely was brutal. And another thing, people are complaining about Rick doing that. I mean, look, you don't have to agree with every character decision, but that doesn't mean it's a bad episode or badly written just because a character makes a decision that's different than what you would personally want. And I love how people are always like, oh, I want Season 5 Rick back. Ooh, and then they get Season 5 Rick back within this episode, and everyone's complaining again. So I find that interesting. But yeah. But now people are like, complaining about Rick, but they got the Season 5 Rick that they always wanted back in this episode. So I don't know why you're still complaining, to be completely honest. But I loved it. This episode, I didn't really get into how much I liked it. It was definitely a very, very good episode. I wouldn't say it's the best episode of the season. I've been seeing people say that. It's definitely up there. Definitely top 5 best episodes of the season for sure. But I wouldn't say it's the number 1 best. I still think that episode 12, episode 13, episode 9, episode 2, I still think all those are better. But this episode, in terms of the writing and the dialogue, I think that's where it shines the best, is in the dialogue. The writing, the dialogue. Obviously, the action, there wasn't much action other than, the Rick and Morgan versus those walkers and the saviors. That was like the only really action we had in this episode. But you don't need action to have a good episode. You gotta people need to know that. And we can tell that by episode 10, obviously. Episode 10 was a fantastically written episode and didn't really have any action. And this episode, too, the dialogue is what made this episode. The character development, the character interactions were absolutely beautiful. And you need these episodes. And I got, people calling them filler, stuff like that. But it's not filler. Okay, the development that these characters go through is necessary for the plot. It's necessary. Even if you don't find it necessary, it is. So, I thought the Rick and Morgan stuff was pretty awesome. I still am a little iffy on it. If they don't do something in the next 2 episodes that makes Rick change his mind on everything, then I'm not going to be happy about it. But obviously, I do think they will do something, and that it'll make more sense for his motives. I love some of the shots too, like when Rick was looking in the broken mirror, which kind of paid homage to episode 2 when he was looking in the mirror after he killed the guy's, the baby's daughter, Gracie's. No, not the baby's daughter, the Gracie's dad. But yeah, then we had that. We had Carol finally saving a kid. I thought that was pretty awesome. How it was in the same type of location that Sophia was last seen. When Rick left her in kind of an area like that. Obviously, it's not the same area. They're in a completely another state now, but it's the same type of area, same look of an area. I thought that was cool. And then we had some Jadis and Negan stuff, which Jadis and Negan stuff, it was cool, but it could have been a lot better. I honestly was expecting more between them. The dialogue between them was great, don't get me wrong. The dialogue was amazing. But in terms of just, I honestly, maybe I'm just a sucker for Winslow, but I was hoping Jadis would put Rick in another pit with another type of Winslow walker. Obviously, we had some cool looking walker on that pushable thingy-majigger. I don't know what that was, but I'm talking another spiked walker. I was hoping maybe she would make Negan fight one just for the fuck of it. I was hoping for that. I thought that would be pretty cool. Obviously, that's just me being a sucker for Winslow. I think that's the coolest thing that's happened in The Walking Dead. I love Winslow, dude. That thing was awesome. I kind of wanted to see that again. But, the dialogue between them was pretty amazing. I loved, how he was talking about Lucille and everything like that, how he named his bat Lucille, off his wife. They've been developing Negan a little bits and pieces over the past few episodes. I really like the polar opposites between Rick and Negan this episode. I mean, if you watch this episode, and this is the only episode you watched of The Walking Dead, you would think that Rick is the villain and that Negan was the hero, because Negan was a good guy in this episode. I mean, he could have just, Jay just let Negan go because Jadis was like, fuck it, I don't need him anymore. I don't really care anymore. I mean, I'm kind of just, he didn't do anything. He's pleading his case, so I'm just going to let him go. That's kind of how she felt. And, Negan could have just bashed her head in right there if he really wanted to. But Negan's not that bad of a guy, honestly. People need to realize that. Negan didn't even force Jadis to come back with him or anything. He just said, fuck it, just stay here in the trash and just chill here. I don't care anymore. That's what makes Negan interesting, is he not as bad of a villain as people make him out to be. And then we get Rick just slaughtering people. I mean, I love Jared's death so much. I thought that was awesome. I thought it was really cool how Morgan was holding on to him, and then he was like, let me go. I thought that was awesome. And then he got bit off on the cheek. That was really cool. And overall, like I said before, I think this episode is up there with the best dialogue. I mean, the acting between Lenny James, Andrew Lincoln, Melissa McBride, we had some amazing, Denai Guerrero, we had some amazing performances by the characters in this episode. And it just further proves my point that the acting in the show and the writing and the dialogue is just, it's some of the best on television. It's got to be. It really does have to be. So now we only have 2 episodes left. I'm not really too sure what's going to happen in episode 15. I'm actually very curious as to what goes on. I'm sure it's going to set up for the finale in a very, very deep way. And the finale, I'm hoping, is going to be the best episode of all time. I really have my fingers crossed that it will be. I mean, I'm seeing it in the goddamn theaters. That has to be exciting for some of you if you're going to see it in theaters. Come on, that's crazy. Walking in theaters, it's crazy. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of quick review. I mean, this episode had a lot to it, but like I said, the majority of the people actually enjoyed it. Surprisingly, even with all the hate going around the show, I did see more positive comments about this episode than negative, which is always great to see. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.